Welcome back.
Well, thank you.
Going back to like the whole thing with the disconnect between the rhetoric of the struggle of the working class and the actual struggle. I mean, I've seen this, at the local level too. I mean, like I've been to parties, and I'm sure you've been to these kinds of parties in Portland where, politically ambitious young Democrats who've graduated with like an MBA from Harvard or Princeton or whatever are all, standing around in their button-down shirts with cocktails and exchanging their business cards for their, upstart micro business, and, bragging about how many people they employ. It's just, they're capitalists. And, if these are the people who are like rushing to the helm of what, the AFL-CIO and all these other unions seem to think is the voice of labor as a political voice for labor, like how are we going to end up actually addressing class struggle if those are the folks who are the ones who are like, the voice of labor, when they are not working people.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. I mean, similarly, I'm frustrated with a lot of different sides of this, because I've also tried to go to meetings that have been held by consensus. I'm not putting consensus in quotes, but by the consensus-based model, which it actually is, but I'm quoting it because that's the name of the system. And I think it's a brilliant idea. However, I've been willing and I've participated to the nth degree, like as much as I can. However, when I've seen people who are interested but aren't necessarily yet comfortable with the idea, who are exactly what you say, button-down shirt, go in. He might have handed out a business card and offended someone, but he did the thing, and he didn't get it, right? And so what does the group do? They are so heartbroken I'm so offended that you've come in here and done this thing and asked this thing rather than say, hey, here's a guy who's interested. We could probably get him to help out with us in one way or another. There's this similarly disgusting performance art that happens with people who spend another hour and a half talking about the various levels of needing to be heard about their offense, rather than setting this aside and being like, this is how we're doing this thing. And please participate if you want to do it. I hope that you do. But if it's not going to work, there's a level of aloofness on both sides that makes me feel so alienated that I often don't know what to do. And I just want to offer a caveat to what I just said, because I don't want it to sound like I'm shitting on one side or another. But I think what's happened is sort of two things are happening. One is capitalism ultimately is just collapsing on itself, right? That we're to a point, like our government hasn't worked on a budget for 3 years, right? Like, in just to keep up with the pace of capitalism's rapidly changing face, which is it just collapsing in on itself, we're operating on relative lawlessness from a U.S. government.
Oh, totally.
But then on the day-to-day level, it's worked so effectively that there are so many people living hand to mouth in order for there to be such a substantial concentration of wealth on the top side, that people are so desperate. Where if I go to one meeting or another, right? I go to the consensus meeting and I see everyone's doing their best to be as democratic as possible. There are flaws in the system for sure, but they're doing their best to be as democratic as possible. But in order to we have 5 decisions to make, and only 2 get done because we need to push on to the next meeting because we did a lot of talking and stuff. And so these meetings are going to take up 10 hours of my week, right? I go to the young capitalists for change meeting, and things are done in a highly regimented system. Someone's giving me their business card and promising me an internship opportunity, which means I might get a job, somewhere. And yes, I'm buying into the system that's going to kill me in the long run. But I prefer a slow death by way of having, getting a TV occasionally and upgrading my kitchen. I prefer that slow death to the instant death that's going to happen if I go and work with a group that's ultimately working towards rechanging the entire system, but I got to feed my fucking kid, right? So capitalism's been so successful in that it's completely, and without there being any social safety net, despite the fact that anyone wants to tell you that we're putting all of our money into welfare and not enough money into bombing the shit out of innocent people. But I mean, like, if that were there, we'd have some options for which meetings we ultimately wanted to go to and how many people end up at Zuccotti Park, right? So because that's not there, we've been stripped of the options and we're now destitute. When you have someone who's potentially revolutionary going out to one meeting or another, if they can choose one or the other, chances are, just by maintaining the illusion of potential security, they go to the button-down young capitalist meeting. Or they do the supremely popular option, which is they just don't participate anymore because fuck both those people. I don't have enough as it is. Maybe, what's easier than going to one of those meetings or another, deliberating which part of the change I want to be, is just now willfully choosing ignorance and internalizing the myth that if I work hard enough, I won't die poor and alone. I'll actually move on to the next level of the socioeconomic rank. And while I'm at it, after I've internalized that, because I might potentially be a rich person, I might as well vote against my interests now, because when I'm rich, someone like me might try to take some of my money away so that they can go to socialist meetings, right? And so capitalism won, right? Huzzah. And I admire the intentions of the button down, because I don't think that they're consciously saying, I can't wait to serve my capitalist overlords today. I think that they've been presented with a reality where I've been on boards with these people, I've worked with these people, I've volunteered with these people, I have occasionally slipped and become more one of these people than the other, and I know why, right? And I admire sort of where they're coming from, but I don't think it's really helping anything aside from solidifying and popularizing and internalizing this idea that they won, so we might as well join on.
Just the idea that we can fight capitalism using capitalism. We can buy organic and whatever, bamboo flooring and I don't know, whatever. Egyptian cotton, blah blah blah.
Well, Zizek talks a lot about this, and shoot me for just even quoting Zizek in a casual conversation, but Zizek, but he talks about this with regard to the westernization of Eastern religion, right? Where it's like you go to Buddhism really because you're so desperate about your existence within Western capitalism and within the mindset that it provides for you. So you go to this thing, right? But then you create a Western scheduling system and a Western commodification of it where, like, in order to be the Buddhist, you need to buy, sort of the correct attire for it. Or in order to go to yoga, like, you can't just get yoga pants anymore. Your ass looks terrible in those. So you need to get Lululemon branded yoga pants. I think they're like $70. They look really good, but they're $70 for your enlightenment trip, right? And so basically we've inserted money changers into the one thing Jesus ever flipped out about. Money changers. We put them into the eastern part of the religion that has now made it Western so that we're comfortable with how we take the change, so yeah, I mean, it's exactly the same thing.
You're watching The Punk Patriot, to life, liberty, in pursuit of a less fucked up government. If you like this video, please donate what you think it was worth. You can find the link down in the description of the video. Also, let me know what you think in the comments section. Please share this video with your friends and your enemies. The only way that this channel will expand is through word of mouth and people like you. So thank you very much. Peace.